And hello, South Florida. Welcome to another live edition of the Real Estate Show. Kind of snuck up on me the time today. What a day, what a busy day, what a day that just flew right on by. But I want to welcome you to listening to the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate, America's longest running daily radio show about real estate. And we are here every day. That's 5 days a week at 5 p.m. live each weekday, coming at you 5 different ways. That is on the AM, on the FM, on the apps. You can find us on any one of the apps in your cell phone store that carries either the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the radio.com app. Even WWNN has their own app. So just search for 1470 Money Talk Radio, WWNN. If you're looking for the call letters, that's WWNN. And you can tune in here 5 live every single day. Again, AM, FM, the apps, and on our website. If all else fails, remember, you can find us at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. And go to the top of the page where it says The Real Estate Show, and you can catch us there live at 5. We stream this radio show live on our website. And we also have this show archived. We record it, and then about 24 hours later, we put it together with the notes and the recording, and you just click on the link there. You can listen to the entire show on demand on your schedule whenever you're looking for a little bit of vitamin real estate. Remember, that's 5 days, just one a day, 5 days a week, plus our weekend show. We have all of our shows are broadcast live during the week at 5 o'clock, but then the rebroadcast of those live shows back to back, sort of a mega dose of the daily real estate show on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. So I wanted to continue our conversation this week. As you know, we start out our Mondays on a mission, talking about what is our mission for the week. And we were talking about survivalism and the survivalist as it applies to real estate. Many of you may know about that, or many of you may not have heard about the survivalists, which is, it's a community of people that believe very strongly in preparing for the ultimate anything. Whether it be a natural disaster, a war, a pandemic, or whatever, that they have a plan, a plan in place, a plan that is in many cases rehearsed. They have, in fact, I was talking to a good friend of mine up from the New Hampshire. She was telling me how her dad had what they call the bug out bag, which is a bag where you put just the crucial belongings that if you had literally 5 minutes to vacate and abandon your home because of a natural disaster, because of war, because of a bomb, you name it, these people are in preparation. So they have all sorts of supplies, food that keeps, that travels easy, it's compact, what equipment, what tools, and all sorts of things. But what you may not know is that there is also a whole element of a real estate for survivalists. So I was sharing that over this past weekend, I was up in Idaho, in northern Idaho, which is probably the country's bug out destination. And so there are a number of specialized properties that if everything were to go wrong, just imagine, a nuclear plant meltdown, a dirty bomb, invasion by whoever, that their rendezvous place is a place, and the survivalists are buying up places around the country in strategic and mostly remote. And so this is kind of a really interesting part of real estate. So one of the investment groups that I deal with and coach was very adamant about creating this survivalist project, and have done so. In fact, they have bought the land several hundred acres up in northern Idaho. And that's where we went to go visit the property and talk about, the plans, what's it going to have. The property, in order for us to buy it, had to have uh, running water going through it. In other words, a river. The property had to be remote. The property had to be farmable. The property had to have a number of different things, including the ability to farm for their own sake to get off the grid, have alternative power sources. So solar power is what's in the case, as well as could be hydropower from the river. The river not only could provide power, the river can provide, so it can't be just a little stream, right? It can provide gravel for construction and all of the sand and gravel. The river provides fish, so food for nutrition, and then land that is suitable for planting and for cattle. And there's already cattle on the property. So that's going a little bit farther in. Anyway, I got some really cool memorabilia. This is a survivalist band. For those of you watching us the fifth way on our Facebook page, I'm showing one of these. Firefighters have these bracelets that are actually several feet of rope that they can have. And this one here actually has a knife, has flint to start a fire, has a compass, a whistle. I'm not going to blow it here on the radio, but a number of tools right in here, right on my wrist. So no hassle, no problems. A couple of other cool things. Here's my survivalist mug here for my drink. That's for tea and coffee right now. Here is a thermos container. It keeps hot drinks hot, cold drinks cold. Attaches, and these are I would tell you, the light stuff. We won't get into some of the survivalist equipment. But today, of course, what is today? Tuesday, yesterday, we talked about some of the tools, tips, and techniques that applies to this conversation this week. And today's our midweek report. So I had kind of fun in preparing today's show for a number of different reasons. Number one is that I've got a great article from Forbes magazine. So if you think that Eric is starting to go off the deep end here, think again, okay? Because what I'm talking about, I have two specific articles that I definitely will share with you, and more if I can. So I want to give you a little bit of flavor. First of all, remember, the survivalists are all about being prepared for a catastrophe. And so this article that you can get directly from Forbes magazine, or if you want later on, I'm going to post the link to it on our website at automaticlandlord.com. But the title of the article was "Real Estate Was a Catastrophe in 2020." And then it basically has 6 industry experts weighing in and predicting what happens next. Because obviously we know what already happened, a little bit more than a year ago, March 11th to be exact, and you've heard me quote that day over and over. Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz tested positive for COVID-19 right before tip-off in an otherwise would have been meaningless game against the Oklahoma Thunder. But within 48 hours of that, just to give you an idea of how everything comes down hard and fast, within 48 hours, the NBA had shut down, along with the Masters, the Olympics, the NHL, and the French Open, and eventually almost every city in America over the next 2 weeks. So remember about the Go Now bag, or your Go Now plans. The bug out bag, as I like to hear it referred to. 12 months later, and a little bit more, if one thing is certain that I want to share with you in today's episode, is that the world, as it moves into 2021, remember, we're now in May of 2021. So COVID-19 already absorbed 2020, which, by the way, was such a cool date to have been lost in the annals of the pandemic. Now here we are rapidly approaching the mid-year point of 2021. The one thing that we're absolutely sure of, and you've heard all my conversations over the last couple of weeks, has all been about preparedness. My favorite little saying, it's not the large that eat the small in today's world, it's the fast that eat the slow. And I want our listeners here Our mission here is to enable, educate, and empower our listeners to be able to get their piece of the American dream, i.e., real estate. So if one thing has become very plain and very certain, is that as the world moves through and into the second half of 2021, there's not going to be a full stop reversal right back into normal, right? What is the new normal going to be, with all of the new business practices, working remotely, working from home, working out of an office at all? Many things in life still don't resemble what they looked like 12 plus months ago, and in particular the real estate world. And so that's one article that I want to spend a little bit of time with. I want to jump into another article which is really cool, and this is I got this from NPR. One housing sector that's booming: survival realty. How many of you have heard about that? And so, again, talking about Coeur d'Alene, which is a beautiful part of Idaho, right near the border between Washington State and Idaho, where the housing market in the Northwest, while it was already in a heated way, but there's one sector of the real estate market that never let up, not even in 2008, 9, during the Great Recession, and certainly not during the pandemic. In fact, to the contrary, it actually leapt up and heated up, and actually, I would say, led the recovery, and that's called survival realty, and they are and were even back in the right following the Great Recession, because of what did all that mean? Every time that the sky looks like it's falling, the survivalists perk up and start getting busy, putting their plans into action. Key question there. And one of the things that they're protecting themselves against, by the way, is not just all of these catastrophes, but they know they need to protect themselves against the zombie mob, right? All the people that didn't prepare, that are now going to flock to these places as well, except for they won't own the real estate. The investors that I was with now own several hundred acres of real estate, and you can bet they're going to fortify it, barbed wire. There's going to be an armory built on location, in addition to the farming, the cattle, the fisheries, and all of that. And so back in 2012, a remote corner of Northwest became a hotspot for home buyers wanting to ride out any disaster, be it natural or otherwise. So I want to talk a little bit more about that article as well. And before I go into the break, I'm just going to give you an idea that what I'm talking about, that here in South Florida, the land of the sun-baked people and half-baked ideas, you have people that are here in vacation relax mode, not so much in the prep mode. But just here, check out these articles. When I typed and Googled in real estate survival news, which is what I wanted to bring to you today, commercial real estate's coronavirus survival, what it looks like, with protests and a pandemic, how will New York real estate survive? ? Survivalrealty.com. You might want to check that out for a little bit of fun. Rural, sustainable, off-grid properties. That's kind of interesting. Real estate for the apocalypse is another article. My journey into a survival camp, and that's what some of these properties are called. COVID-19. What has the real estate industry learned from the pandemic? And then here's another one. Here's a $6 million survival compound, and this was in the Seattle Times. One housing sector that's booming: survival realty. And then a whole bunch of other stuff there. So this is not a one-off conversation. This is not something that you should overlook, but put it on the back shelf in your mind, and maybe you might want to have that plan B for your life And I know that that's something that we have already put into practice in our real estate practice. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, hear a few words from our sponsors. When we come back, I'm going to dive deeper into that first article. And then I'll talk a little bit more about survival realty as well. You're listening to the Real Estate Show during Survival Week here. My name is Eric Willner. Don't touch that dial, because we will be right back. Hey, Felipe. Let's see who else we got there. Mary Braxton, how are you? Hola. Hola, Felipe. ¿Cómo estás? Peter Erickson, Erica, John, Brian, how are you? What do you guys think of the topic? A little bit literally off the beaten track, but I think a very interesting. And what's very interesting is that there's a money making angle to this as well. So while we were up in Idaho, of course, we got to visit the gun range as we were looking at some stuff for the armory. It's kind of cool to fire a 50 millimeter. There's a gun. The AR. And I'll tell you, the Idahoans are very sturdy, proud, and super nice group of people. So I got to remember, I got a couple of announcements to make here. Tonight we have our real estate Biz Connect. So let's see here. And welcome back for those of you just joining us here on the Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Willner. I am your host, as I have been for the last 22 plus consecutive years, speaking about the topic of survivalist here on our radio show. For the last 22 years, we have not only survived but thrived throughout the Great Recession, the Great Pandemic, and a number of up and down cycles throughout the years. And being adaptable throughout that time period has been, I think, one of our largest assets. Not only having a great amount of knowledge, it won't help you to have a great amount of knowledge if you're not flexible and adaptable. You know, security comes from certainty, right? And the market loves certainty. People love certainty. And having the ability to adapt is another form of certainty out there. So that's something to keep in mind as you listen to the Real Estate Show, and why you don't want to miss any episodes or any of the weeks of the Real Estate Show. Because think about it. We were talking about the iBuyers a few weeks ago who are perched, ready, prepared, and they have their plan A and their plan B this time for when the market hits its next speed bump. And it will hit some sort of a bump. It may be the lifting of the evictions. It may be the release of all of the foreclosures. But I will tell you, it will be nothing like 2008, where people are expecting it to be pandemonium. The banks are much more prepared. I spent an entire week talking about the REO departments and what the banks are doing right now. In fact, not even right now, for the last 6 months in preparation for that moment when it happens. You know, they're ready. And it's not your grandfather's banking system anymore. The old adage that the banks are not in the real estate business is far from the truth today. Many banks have even come out and said that they plan to hold some of the real estate that they take back, creating the cash flow. So they're going to be landlords. They're going to be investors in real estate. So you've got the asset management companies, you've got the banks themselves, both local, regional, national banks. You've got a plethora of hedge funds, the SPACs, and so much more. So the ability to absorb that inventory, and here's the other thing, it's not going to be the inventory that you think it is. Many people have exited the forbearance on their own. There are half, if not less, half of the people that took the forbearance that were not paying their mortgages are now resuming and paying their mortgage. The number of tenants, on the other hand, has not been that proportionate. And let me tell you that once those eviction moratoriums are lifted and the landlords are making their payments out of their savings, out of their reserves, out of their income, are not going to be putting up with that, and nor should they have to. So there are a number of local organizations. Dial 211 is the first one that I've been saying. That's local. It's a local number in every area. So no matter where you're listening to, whether you're in Texas, Florida, or Idaho, dial 211. And there are programs out there to try to help people to survive. Before I forget, also, today being Wednesday, I hope you remember that in addition to our 5 daily radio shows right here where you're listening to us, 5 p.m. live or anytime you want at our website at automaticlandlord.com. We also have a number of workshops. We have our Monday night workshop, our Debt to Wealth workshop, which was really cool. If you missed it, you want to and you want to learn more about the debt to equity transformation, that you can transform what you have in debt into equity, then text the word. I'm going to give out this number. It's one number, different words for you to text to. The number, I'm going to give it out first, and I'm going to give it out at the end again as well, at 561 861 2366. Once again, that's 561 861 2366. Text the word equity. So debt to equity is that workshop that we have on a Monday night, and this is Monday night at 9 p.m. Tuesday, our credit accelerator. Whether you have credit, don't have credit, whether you have bad credit, this is a workshop teaching people about credit and how to make yours better than it is. Credit is going forward is going to be critical. As you know, this whole moratorium has made landlords much more gun shy, and they are much more rigorous, acting even more like banks. So credit is the most important number in your financial life for sure, but maybe even the most important number in your life. And so you want to pay attention and do the best that you can to fix and bolster and strengthen that credit. So type the word credit if you want our report and the invitation to our next credit workshop, which will be next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Then Wednesday, as you know, we have our Biz Connect. That is our opportunity to network with other real estate investors, other entrepreneurs as well. And that is tonight at 8 p.m. You are invited. It is tonight. So if you're interested in coming to that, then text the word investor to 561-861-2366. That's 561-861-2366. And the only other word I want to give out for tonight is our big event. We've already got 30 people signed up, and that was as of this morning, for our agent event coming up on May 25th from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. Just to give you an idea, let me see, did I bring my piece of paper? Yeah, I did. With some of the, no, this is something else. For just some of the events that are on there. We're going to talk about REO properties, REO certification, and how to jump to the front of the line of the for REO agents that want to be involved in the listings. And there will be quite a few listings, because once they hit the REO, and there will be properties hitting the REOs, the REO companies, whether it be the asset management companies, what they're now called the profit management department of the bank, but the banks, they always list their properties with an accredited realtor. So if you want to come to that, type in the word agent, text it to 561-861-2366. That's 561-861-2366. And we'll get you on that reserve list. Once we hit the list, the number of 50, it is cut off. That is the amount that we're going to be able to have safely, socially distanced environment. That's, by the way, that one is a live event. Everything else was online. But our May 25th event from 2 to 6, text the word agent to 561-861-2366. That is a live in-person event. Anyway, that's the Survivalist Wednesday midweek edition of the Real Estate Show for today. The music is coming in, which means I am out of time. We'll be back again tomorrow. We're going to talk about our creative financing toolbox. You definitely don't want to miss that edition of the Survivalist Week show. So I'll see you there again tomorrow. So until then, drive safe, wash those hands, and make it a great day. Bye-bye. All right, my friend. Thank you. So that wraps that up for today. We'll close that one down.